Hello there. Here in hotel room here in Canberra tonight. So I got back from my adventures today a couple hours ago. I've just been pretty much just watching some YouTube, just trying to pass some time. So I was feeling tired, and I don't know how successfully I'll be able to fall asleep in a little bit. I always have a little bit of difficulty falling asleep in a new place, but for at least for a couple nights, this being the second, the last time doing it here. But anyways, so I just want to talk about some of the feelings and thoughts that I've had recently regarding this whole trip here to Canberra, and also just maybe some thoughts for this general study abroad experience that I'm having here in Australia, and what kind of decisions I might like to make, or not make. So first things first, I just want to say that I think it's pretty cool that I've basically come here to another major Australian city, and well, I would say that I did this entirely by myself, and that is mostly true in terms of the physical stuff, or actually planning for things. I'm very, very grateful that I had my parents helping me out with a little bit of stuff, because I had some weird things going on with my bank account. I have a good amount of money. It's just I just hadn't realized quite yet that I needed to transfer some more money over to one of my accounts, so it was getting a bit low recently. So yeah, that made me feel a little bit anxious, but in terms of the actual resources, probably fine. I think I'm doing all right. I mean, I was able to have some lunch and some dinner today, and actually the other half of my dinner I'll have for breakfast tomorrow, so I don't have to worry about paying for that. But anyways, right, I was really, really anxious coming here to Canberra for a couple of reasons. One is because I never really been on a train before, except for one time for a pretty short period of time, and that was with someone else. And that was within Sydney for not particularly long. I think it was probably just 5-10 minutes or so. So really not all that long or that much, and it was with someone else. Secondly, this is also pretty far away in terms of where I've gone and explored a little bit out from my dorm back in Sydney, because most of the things that I've gone to before I was able to do within probably an hour or two, or a little more than that, walking distance. Right, which means I could actually very reasonably get to and back from places within a day on foot. Obviously, this is not the case, since it took about 4 hours by train to get here. Which, when I looked it up about how long it would take to walk back, it would be at least 3 days, and that's just assuming constant speed of walking and no breaks or food or bathroom or sleeping or anything like that. So obviously not gonna do that. I can't, and I do not want to walk through a lot of area, because I think there's quite a fair amount of bushland perhaps between Canberra and Sydney, so I don't really want to walk through. If it was the American wilderness, I might be fine, depending on where it is. you know, but the Australian wilderness, no, I don't really want to deal with that. So, but nonetheless, I mean, I still wouldn't want to walk through the wilderness at night or for a long time, anyways. But anyways, I don't know why I even thought about actually doing that. But the second, so I'd say the first one was a little train thing. Second thing was, what was it again? Just being this far away, you know, and then I say three is probably also, again, just like doing this for the most part by myself, which is kind of scary because I'm like, I don't know what could happen. I don't know, you know, how I feel, and I don't know what, you know, I don't know. I mean, I'll probably be safe, and I have been. Nothing wrong has really happened, other than a couple of mistakes here and there, but nothing really too serious, other than maybe the bank thing that I mentioned not too long ago, which I think got figured out. But yeah, so I'd say probably the other part of it is kind of really just kind of summation of all these things. It's just really is just this is quite far away. It's just a lot of new things I've had to do while I've been here in Australia, which I think is good that I've had some experience now. Don't mind me that going back and forth between sitting and laying against the wall there. You know, and I think, I mean, I know that today, and also especially last night, because I have a whole issue that I'll talk about a little bit, where I was kind of, I wasn't like getting like down on myself about it entirely. I still think I had a fairly nice time out today, but I was like, you know, I kind of felt bad because I think that there is a couple of things that I didn't really fully prepare for or fully think through before I came here, and I guess glad that I, you know, can be aware of those things now. So first and foremost is not really the hugest thing, because it seemed like it worked out fine, but it would probably be really good, especially with much longer trips or to places a bit, you know, further out or more expensive, is to just pack a lot more food. I'd packed some stuff, which was enough for probably 2, maybe 3 meals if I could have stretched it, which I did. But you know, because I had some stuff. I had a couple of things I had last night for my dinner, so I didn't have to buy anything for that. And then I had a little bit of stuff left over, which was a sandwich and another bag of peanuts that I had when I was walking today. But I did end up still getting an actual proper lunch, so I didn't actually have to end up buying all 3 of the meals for today, which, especially if I have longer trips, that could really add up, you know, and I don't really want to get in the position of that. So that's probably the first thing that I should really do, that I've learned, I think. The second one is to properly go ahead and, you know, because I know now that if I'm wanting to do longer trips out to places within the same country, I don't know about necessarily the United States, maybe not, I don't know, but at least here in terms of Australia or maybe some other places that I might want to visit, is that the trains is not exactly the same, doesn't work quite the same as rail or bus. which at least in New South Wales, you just, you take your Opal card and you just tap on, tap off on the bus, or on the little platforms that you get off or get onto for the rails, which is pretty simple. And you just keep track of where you're going by bus, and then you can just either go to the closest destination to where you're trying to get to go, or you just hit, you just press the stop button if you're on a bus, and then you just get off pretty close to there, or the next closest stop or whatever. But right, so the trains, right, just really make sure that I go ahead and properly pay for and get tickets and all that for these things kind of ahead of time, because I kind of just made the mistake of thinking that I could just spontaneously do it. And I guess it kind of ended up working out, but I really shouldn't really try to do that too often. And I was cutting it kind of close on time, in terms of when I was about to, the train was about to leave. I got on there just a few minutes before it did, which was fine. But I probably could have left just a little bit earlier. Well, I thought I had left with plenty of time, but I guess it was probably because I was walking over to the station. There was an acquaintance I was just trying to catch up with a little bit, so probably got distracted because of that. And that also didn't help that I didn't know exactly where I was going within the station, since I didn't really know. But again, it's first time for that. But really, what I mean more so is, and especially in terms of when I'm trying to go back to places, because I kind of figured here, okay, well, I don't have the MyWay Plus app, which is the public transportation, I guess, equivalent of the Opal card, Opal Business, whatever. I think, if I remember correctly, I think it's the equivalent thing here in the ACT, Australian Capital Territory. The Opal card does not work here. Fortunately, I didn't end up trying to do that, because I was looking it up on the way here, but just really making sure that, because especially it seems like really the only two ways to get back, at least here in Canberra, would be either by train, which you have to pay for tickets ahead of time, or to go by plane, which I really don't want to do, and all that, and is a bit more, strict and all that stuff, and I hadn't really planned on trying to go back by plane. Now, I mean, fortunately, I already do have my ticket to go back to Sydney. That'll be tomorrow. There's a couple of different options. At the times, it takes about 4 hours to get there, so I just went with the earliest one, because I don't want to be getting back in Sydney and it's late. So I just decided, I'm gonna take the morning one, right? Because I don't, and that way I can be back, around 11 or 12 or so. Leaves around 7-ish, so I'll just be trying to wake up at about 5. I set several alarms just to make sure that I, really wake up, and I think I'm probably trying to go to sleep within probably half an hour, 45 minutes maybe. I don't know exactly. We'll have to see what the time is after I finish the video, but maybe more than that, depending on, I like to make sure I get all my devices properly and fully charged up, for the night kind of thing. But nonetheless, even though I've been talking about some of that stuff that made me feel a little bit anxious and a couple of mistakes that I had there and whatnot. I am glad that I did make sure to, bring, a couple of different important documents. I did actually end up using my photo ID card. The government, the New South Wales issued one, so I didn't have to use my passport. So I think that made it maybe a little easier, at least I hope. Anyways, and I did a fairly good job, at least in terms of thinking about, bringing, stuff like, my headphones and the sweatshirt. I've been wearing this because I got a little cold. And, a couple extra clothes, not a ton, but, can comfortably fit in my backpack. And, the outlet converter, that's huge. Would have been way more annoying if I didn't have that. And then even if I didn't have enough food for the entire time here, at least I thought of some of it, so that's good, and then I just basically just carried around all my stuff in my backpack and my pockets, basically, for basically last night and today. But yeah, I am definitely looking forward to getting back in Sydney. I am tired and I feel anxious being in a different place. I mean, things have gone fairly well for the most part, but it's definitely been some rough bumps. Notably, I had to try to figure out how to get a train ticket because it didn't seem like there was any available for today. So I got really anxious about that. And then I was looking, because I had actually tried booking some tickets last night, and but then when I checked it this morning, they were booked for literally like it was the same day of the next month, and I'm like, bruh. So I'm glad that I caught that. And then I was like, right, be trying to be like, okay, so I need to like go ahead and like, can I figure out something else here, or like, and fortunately that, because like I also had to basically book another hotel stay. This is the same hotel, it's just a different room that I stayed in last night. It's just upstairs, basically, the different spot, same place essentially though. And I had to basically book another stay here, and I did see that there were some tickets for tomorrow, which I already talked about, fortunately, and very gratefully. And I went ahead and already claimed some of those this morning. I got those saved in my phone here, and I keep on checking them every couple of hours just to make sure, that I'm absolutely correct on that. But yeah. And also, I would just say this on the train. I think I almost got in trouble because when I got on the train, then I told one of the ladies that was coming by, I was like, hey, I want to go ahead and like pay for my ticket, right? She was like, okay, you can go ahead and go up to the front. You can go up to one of the more up front cars, right? So then I walked on over there, and then I was like, I told the lady there, and I was like, hey, I'd like to go ahead and pay for my ticket. She's like, you haven't gone and paid for your ticket? And I was like, no, I'm really sorry, but I'd like to go ahead and do that. And then I tried paying with my debit card, and it wasn't working. And I was like freaking out. And then she was like, oh, wait, what about, because this is Westpac. I don't have a Westpac bank account, but she was like, okay, do you have, can you just use your bank account? She was talking about Westpac, right? And so then I was like, sure. So yeah, so then I went ahead and I was trying to frantically like go ahead and like download the app and then like create an account on there, but then it wasn't working because like it wouldn't accept my card. It was saying it was like invalid or whatever. And then I was like, I don't know what else can I do. And then I tried even asking, like, can I even use an OVO card or like PayPal or whatever? Like, I really want to pay this. And then the lady, she was like literally just like starting to call someone to be like, hey, can I get someone to come over to this car? You know, and you know, and right, I was gonna ask me like, hey, can you like, you know, if I really need to, like, you know, can you just like, you know, can you just have someone get off with me at like this next, like the next closest like, you know, station or something like that, and just, you know, I'll just go in and you know, you can watch over me. Like, I'm not gonna run or anything. Like, I'll pay my stuff, but like, we'll try different. We'll, you know, we'll get to the closest station. I'll pay for, you know, what I had, and then I'll just go back to Sydney, and I'll just, you know. And I was like, I mean, if I, you know, I was like, I mean, I may not even have this trip really fully working out, but you know, if you know, I'd rather not be, you know, I'd rather not be having too many other issues. But then the last second, like, or I think right before she finished, this lady before she finished her call, I went ahead and I was like, oh, I thought I was like, oh wait, I was looking in my wallet and I was like, oh wait, I have some cash. And so then I was like, hey, do you take cash? And she was like, yeah. So then I had like just a few more dollars than what the ticket cost to come here to Canberra. And then she like gave me the receipt, and then she was like, okay, you can go sit in that car. You know, and then I was just like, oh my God, I feel so embarrassed. I feel so embarrassed. I was like, that could have been really bad. So I was just like stressing the fuck out about that for pretty much the entire time. The rest of the time I was on the train coming here. And yeah, and yeah, I had some rough bumps. I mean, I thank God for my family. I thank God that I have some good parents and that they were helping me out and trying to, you know, help me work through a couple of these things. I really wish I hadn't had that stress because it's kind of insane. But, you know, but I'll be going back tomorrow morning, and I can enjoy being back in my own dorm and just appreciate, you know, my bed there, and, you know, and having, you know, having my own, you know, close access to groceries and laundry and, you know, playing Minecraft on the computer and actually having, I mean, if it's not my own bed back home, at least I have a bed that I normally sleep in, you know, and just resources that are not too terribly far away, right? And I know where some things are, so I'm definitely looking forward to going back. I know, yeah, today and yesterday, I just been feeling anxious for a lot of it, but so yeah, that's kind of just been some of my experience here. So in terms of what kind of, getting back to which I said much earlier on the video, in terms of like what stuff I might actually be like doing decision wise with like trips or whatever. So of course, like, you know, bringing more food and like properly planning, you know, tickets for everything, you know, whatever mode of transportation it might be, you know, you know, if it's such a larger distance away that, you know, I can't just like, you know, if I really want to, I can't just like walk back, you know, within a few hours. You know, even my feet might be tired, but I can do it, right? I mean, I walked all the way from Sydney to Randwick, and it took about 3.5 hours, but, you know, that's actually doable, even if it is tiring, right? But in terms of decision-wise, though, so one is generally probably just keep the stuff much shorter, unless I also have at least least, at least a couple of other people, at least 2 or 3, preferably, to, to do things with and help guide me around and plan for things, so that way I have someone else to do stuff with and rely on and talk to, essentially, because I didn't have anyone else coming here with me, and also, I'd say probably just, again, also just kind of keeping stuff maybe a bit on the shorter side, because I do feel stressed when I'm really far away from my comfort area. But I guess it is a good thing that I've done this nonetheless, and I'm sure I'll probably appreciate that I did this, look back on it. And you know what, I don't know, I've rambled on about all this stress stuff for like the last, pretty much the last 25, 26 minutes, essentially, and I know maybe you didn't really hear that, and it's kind of just all over the place, but I did have a nice time with some things here, and I'd say it was cool getting to just see some of Canberra, seeing some of the ACT. There's a lot of it I didn't get to see, and I don't know if I ever will, but I'm very glad I went and saw Parliament House. That's one thing I wanted to do. The place is fucking massive. And also see the National Museum of Australia, which was super, super, super jam-packed, full of all kinds of cool stuff. I don't even know where to begin to describe in terms of all the cool artifacts and, and all sorts of things that they had in there. Just so many cultural and historical, things in there. So it was really cool. And and with all that stuff in there that I saw, and I took a lot of pictures of a lot of things, but I'm sure there's still so much I didn't. And I probably would have stayed a bit longer than I did, had I not been tired, basically, at that point. But that was apparently only like 3 to 4% of the whole, collection of all the things that that they own, which is pretty insane, just to say the least. But I did hear that sometimes some visitors, if they really, really want to learn or see more about something, that they can go and try to register for visits to some of the warehouses, where they can see a lot more of this stuff. But take at least a couple days, probably, to do that. Yeah, I'm not sticking around for that. And honestly, I was just a bit overwhelmed with all this stuff. So I didn't really have anything in particular that I was really wanting to see. I just wanted to see what was in there in the first place. But nonetheless, so glad I came here. Very nice. Very proud that I came here. New different transportation method, and to new city, new place, mostly on my own. And even though I made some mistakes, even though I had a fair amount of anxiety, and probably will tonight, as I think about making sure that I leave on time tomorrow morning. I'm glad that I came here. But I'm also very glad that I'll be going back to Sydney. And yeah, I don't think it's possible I might change my mind, but I do not think I'm going to try to take a trip to Melbourne or Adelaide or any of the other major cities here in Australia, because those are just going to be so far away. And if it took about 4 hours to get here, it would probably take at least 12 to, 18 hours to see basically most of the other major cities. So, and I don't want to be that far away. I don't want to be that far away. In that unfamiliar territory. So we're probably just gonna say, whatever I can get to and back to the dorm within a day, either a few hours of walk or just, an hour or two by rail or bus or something like that. I think I'm just gonna stick to that. So, anyways, appreciate it. If you somehow held with me for this entire thing, appreciate it. Hope you have a good day or night, whatever time it is for you. And feel free to like the video, subscribe to my channel, hit the notification bell. And yes, I do have more positive videos sometimes than this one. Or you can always just watch my Minecraft stuff. Most of them I don't really talk about real life things, although occasionally I do. But